Good morning, afternoon, and evening from wherever you are, and welcome to InstructionCon Sideshow events, sponsored by Crystal Delta. My name is Trevor, and I will be your moderator for today. Before we begin, just some housekeeping items to get through. Please post your questions in the chat box provided, and we'll answer these at the end of the session. Today, we'll be discussing the Course Designer's Guide to Having a Good Day Every Day. Please welcome Adina Shavan, product owner of Lorry. Adina, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you for the warm introduction. As Trevor said, hello, my name is Adina and I am the product owner of Lorry. And I have to say, before we get any further, I did not approve this headshot that was selected for the deck. So for those who don't know or are new to the booth or just saw us at instruction, want a little bit more information, Lorry is a course design tool dedicated to supporting course designers and educators deliver bold, interactive learning experiences. I have been working within the education sector and across a variety of LMS platforms for the last 5 years, but I think I've forever been really passionate about education and making a difference within this space. Right, up front, I'm going to just take a little moment to break down the agenda for today's session. I'll kick off with an introduction to Crystal Delta, touching briefly on some of our existing products and services within the EdTech sector. I'll then dive on into identifying some of the key values of great course design, made even more important as we all continue to navigate and learn from the ever-shifting world heading toward a more hybrid learning approach. Off the back of this, we'll then begin to explore how tools such as Lorry can really help to streamline some of those current course design and build pain points. And this will also include a little look at the Lorry platform and a demo. And I will do my very best to leave a couple of minutes at the end of the session for any questions. So as Trevor said, please do feel free to collect those in the chat as we navigate through. Okay, so for those of you who don't know much about Crystal Delta yet, hopefully you'll leave the session being experts on all things CD. We are at the core digital adventurers, working to empower organizations around the world take control and ownership of their technologies. And Crystal Delta offer a wide range of LMS services to all of our Canvas customers. So we do a lot of work around that custom LTI and integration space. There's work being done around analytics and even some of our own products, such as OLCI and the support for SRES. And then we also have migration services and archiving services. Some of you in the session for Lorry may have attended our Crane migration session with David McKenzie, and hopefully you've all left that session rather informed and experts on all things migration. And then the final key area in which we play is design. So we obviously have our course design tool, Lorry, and then we also offer services for course support and rapid course design to support quick to market delivery, leveraging off the back of that Lorry tool. Before I dive into the importance of great course design further, I wanted to share a couple of key metrics from this year. Now, these numbers here are from July 2021, so this year, and have been obtained from the UNESCO Institute of Statistics data. And for anyone who is a bit of a data nut and just loves stats, I'll get Trevor to post the link in the chat for you so you can go away and read all of the statistics in your own time after the session. Just wanted to note here that by the end of July, we had 157 million learners or students who were engaged with hybrid learning. That's 8.9% of all enrolled learners across elementary, primary, secondary, TAFE, universities globally. And in addition to this, we still had at this point in time, 19 countries who were experiencing nationwide school closures. The impact of the pandemic forced many institutions, some who had little to no structure in place beforehand, toward an online-only offering, and others were able to leverage hybrid learning models. Throughout all of this, we know one thing's for sure, and this is that the number of learners losing out on that daily face-to-face interaction and direct context is great. And on top of that, great course design really, in a sense, has never been more valuable. Okay, I think we all in this session, we know that course design is important for good education, but there are truly some people out there who struggle with the idea that of exactly what course design is and its direct benefits. And a lot of organizations are actually still coming to terms with what great learning experiences look like for them, for their institution, and for their learners. And really, this is okay. And this is also why we have fabulous course designers like yourselves in the session today. Now, I'm very conscious that this one slide and my few bullet points may in some ways oversimplify the importance of great design. And for that, I hope the course designers in the session forgive me. So without further ado, I'm going to dive on in. One of the key benefits of great course design ensures that learners are met with and walk away with a wonderful learning experience. This then directly impacts on a learner's overall success and satisfaction and the completion rate of a course. Learners also want a diverse and rich interactive set of components to engage with. I actually have a friend who is studying nursing right now at one of Australia's best technical schools. And he turned to me over the weekend and was a little beside himself. He was like, oh my God, it is literally video after video. I'm feeling uninspired. It's difficult to stay engaged. I want something different and I want to get my hands on something different. And I think really this is just one example of many, but it just goes to show the importance of actually mixing technologies, tools, interactives in and amongst other traditional course content that we're so used to seeing within an LMS space. And of course, there is then consistency. Great design will take away a learner's pain point of asking, where do I go next? What now? How do I get from point A to point B? It's going to eliminate a lot of that cognitive overload and in turn create a psychologically safe learning environment. Right, I would now like to dive on into one of the tools that will help to improve some of the existing course and build challenges being faced by many organizations around the world. And that tool is Lorry. As I said earlier, it is an LTI course design tool for Canvas. It has been built and developed around direct user feedback from our wonderful community of users all around the world and who come from a variety of different institutions, higher ed, K-12, corporate, and so on. Some of the key benefits of Lorry, and I say this especially for those busy course designers, is first and foremost knowing that the tool that you are selecting and looking to implement and introduce to your Canvas instance is off the bat easy to learn and intuitive, and of course is going to support you with building interactive and engaging content. I believe this slide will be available for you after the session, so I don't want to spend too much time reading into the details, but please feel free to grab that and dive in a little bit more after the session. This slide here at a very high level talks to some of the robust features of Lorry, which in essence are really here to empower course designers and educators to own and simplify the design and the build process of getting beautiful web-like experiences into Canvas within your organization. So at a high level here, we have the editor component itself, which allows you to create that wonderful content. And I'm going to showcase that in a minute. We've got design and share functionality. So this gives you the opportunity to not just design once for yourself as a course designer, but you can then go ahead and save templates, individual building elements and blocks, and share them either amongst your course design team and or entire sub-accounts or an entire institution via the Lorry admin portal, which I'll touch on next. The Lorry admin portal has some basic design and branding sets. So you have the capacity to configure the fonts that you want available for all of your users who have access to Lorry. You can even set your standards around what your header tags look like, your default paragraph copy, and so on. And you even have the opportunity to set a custom color palette so that anywhere within the application as users go to select color, they have those predefined color palettes that are approved and aligned with branding and great design, and eliminates that need to go, what was that shade of blue? Where's that hex code? And so on. There's also the ease with which media can be embedded. So we support a variety of video workflows. There are also a number of image workflows to embed that content directly into your course. We do, of course, have an accessibility checker within the application today. I won't spend a lot of time on that today, but I did want to touch on accessibility is really important to us as an organization, and it's something that's become increasingly important to everybody in the world and is a big component of really great course design. We're actually in the process, after having gone through some research and development phase, of revamping and reinventing our existing accessibility in-app checker, and that new release is coming before Christmas. So please stay tuned to see the updated UI. Very excited about it. We then have our own Lorry interactives and our own H5P integration for those looking to start their h5p.org journey. And I'll show you how both of these work within the editor, again, to help support the build out of those interactive components without needing to spend time on code. So that's going to be a real value add for yourselves. And then we've got the Google font integration there. So giving you access to hundreds of fonts, quite literally. And again, via the admin portal, you can configure which ones you want users to have access to within the actual editor itself. Now, this slide here just summarizes some of what I've been saying, but really those key value adds and the takeaways that are going to support course designers specifically and educators deliver those great experiences. So we've got the consistency that I touched on. You can see with some of these screen grabs, I will show you in the actual demonstration as well, that web-like look and feel. All of the content is also responsive, so you don't need to spend a lot of time on adding additional code to ensure that it's going to work for tablet and mobile devices. So you're supporting an array of users and their devices. And really one of the truly best things about it is that concept of creating a community around sharing best practices with templates that have been designed as part of that course design process, and also individual components. The absolute best takeaway for all course designers, though, who are extremely busy at this time, is going to be that it's going to gift you some time back. And that's really the main reason for leveraging tools to help support your build in an LMS. Now, I'm going to take a moment to stop this slideshow and dive on into the demos. So enjoy my hammer time moment there. I'm just going to pull up my next screen and share that with everyone real quick. Okay, so here we have it. I've launched Lorry within a Canvas course. For those of you wondering, Lorry is accessible via the left-hand navigation menu at a course level. So when you do have access to Lorry in an instance, you can easily open that up. And then I'm going to go ahead and collapse my left-hand nav. I've opened a second tab here, and for those wondering why, there's a method to my madness, and I'll show you that as I go through the demo today. But essentially, it's going to give you that visibility of the modules pages view and show you quickly how that content saves on over to Canvas once I save it from within the Lorry editor. Now, back to Lorry. You can see that the very first view of Lorry is actually essentially replicating that modules pages view. And I often get asked, Adina, why did you do that? And again, thinking about course design workflows and the way that educators have been building and some of the pains they've been experiencing, we wanted to pull that into one seamless experience. And what I mean by that is you can, from within here, create modules and add pages direct from Lorry templates. So you can say, I want a module and I want to go ahead and add these 10 templates. Bam, in a minute, you've got an entire module with a pack of templates that then you can go in and start to edit. It also eliminates the need to go to a page, launch an editor, edit, close, new page, and so on. So just streamlining some of those workflows, trying to save time and energy in that build and design process. Now, I'm going to go in and select my Having a Blast on Friday page here. It is completely blank, and I've done that for a reason so that I can introduce you to the concepts of building in Lorry and then showcase a template as well. I also get asked at this point, okay, Adina, this is blank. What if I already have content in my Canvas course? And that is all good and well. You will have content in your Canvas instance if you've been with Canvas for a while. Anything that's present there, so images, text, videos, and so on, it will be fetched in the Lorry editor and you'll be able to edit that content, move it around, copy, paste, duplicate, and so on, just as you can with all new content that you add to the editor. Now, the very first thing you'll note here is it is quite pared back. So touching on that cognitive overload, it's important also for educators and designers, not just for learners, to have an experience like that. So I'm going to go ahead and start to build in some of the elements and introduce you to the way that building works in the Lorry editor. Now, as I start, I can only add a row. I have a variety of pre-curated rows available to me. As I touched on before, all have Bootstrap code applied, which means it's going to be responsive. You will not have to worry about the code and what that looks like. Now, I'm going to go ahead and insert a single column row. And what I want to do up here is insert a new image element. So I'm going to hit the add button to my column, and you can see that the left-hand menu is always going to be dynamically changing based on what you can do at any given moment. So what I want to do here is actually go ahead and kick that off with an image banner. So again, when I select image, similar to when I selected my 2-column or 3-column block, you can see that there are a variety of pre-curated elements that I can start to play with here. Now, I'm going to move our heads. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and insert an image here. And what we're doing here is we're actually fetching all of the images already present in your Canvas course shell to let you start to build with those right away. Having said that, you've also got Lorry images, which can be a centralized depository of images available to your whole organization. Really great to set up a pack of icons, banners, or commonly used images that you'd like everybody to use from a consistency and branding point of view. You can also upload things direct from your desktop as well. Now, I'm going to go ahead and do a bit of a filter because I've got a lot of stuff in here. And I'm going to go down to some of my banners. Here we go. Note that there's accessibility checkers built in as you edit. So alt text for the video, for image, title for video, captions for table, and so on. I'm just going to tick this one here as decorative just to showcase that workflow. Now, this image here, I want that to be full width. And you're probably wondering, okay, where do I change and manipulate the size, the padding, the margin? Again, left-hand menu. I've selected this element. In the left-hand menu now, this is where all of my alignment, padding, and some of those design elements live. This is also where you can play with background colors, borders, and what have you. In this instance, I'm going to go and select size and apply full width just to get that working there. Now, I'm going to add another row underneath, 40, 60. I'm going to get through this one quite quickly because I just want to show you what it's like to start popping in content. And I'm going to take some very, very quality lorem ipsum course content and pop it in to pad that page out a little bit. In my right-hand column, what I want to do is go ahead and add a video element. So I'm going to embed a video. Again, I touched on before, we have a couple of different workflows that we support. For the purposes of this demo today, I'm just going to take something I've pre-baked, which is a YouTube video, and pop that on in. And again, let's welcome to Lorry on this one too. Wonderful ad. Now, what I can do at this point, I've started to build out certain elements. I've got my banner, I've got my 2-column block. I may want to reuse some of these elements over and over again. I can now do things simply like duplicate. I can go ahead and flip things around and start getting that look of a layout all very easily. Things can also move up and down, so nothing is fixed in space. Just like columns can move left and right, rows can be easily shifted as well. This is the introduction of how you would start building as a course designer, as an educator. What I really want to show you today, though, and I want to make sure we squeeze it in, is templates. So I'm going to clear this and I want to go ahead and launch templates. 3 template categories exist. Global means it can be shared across your whole instance. Really great way to set those standards and then roll that out available to an entire either team of course designers or even sharing it with educators on the journey too. We then have my templates. These follow you as a user wherever you go to build. And then we have shared, and these templates are templates that are shared across particular sub-accounts as per your sub-account structure in Canvas. Now, I'm going to head on over to my templates and pull up something that I have pre-prepared. So this is a template that I built coming into the session today. I'm happy. Yes, this is the one I want to use. Add. You can see that there are a number of components that have been predefined, colored, styled, that I may want to use over and over again, and also share with a team of designers or educators so that we're all building that consistent experience. Some of the things I want to highlight today are tools like our menu function. So we've got a menu element that you can drag in. This can be easily adjusted, so you've got the opportunity to add additional content element or image elements. You can then go ahead and edit anything here, text, apply background colors, make them look like buttons, and even link these to quick link in Canvas, meaning that they can act as sort of a cheeky, quick navigation for learners to areas you want to make sure they always have that quick access to along their course journey. In line with that, any images that you place as a placeholder can be easily replaced by double clicking, or you can head on over to the left-hand menu and replace. We can now do things like just simply start to populate new content, and it's going to retain the style that was previously set and saved. So this is welcome to the land of Lorry. Note there is a spell checker as well there if you've got clumsy fingers like I do, that's going to help prevent and alert some of those issues along the way. We can now do things like move particular elements around to suit our course needs. In my particular instance, I'm going to have a read before class, read after class component. So what I want to do is go ahead and duplicate this and start to create a little bit of a layout. I can double click and update this image nicely. And I'm going to go ahead and change it to this one here of the smiling students on their mobiles. Awesome. And so on. I wanted to show you now our interactive. So this is an example of an accordion built with Lorry interactives. I will show you how responsive this is as well when I save all of this content direct to the Canvas page. I also wanted to showcase something like the image slider. Again, this is built with Lorry. What you can also see, however, is that we do have H5P. So when I go to my elements along the left-hand side here, here's my Lorry interactives. Here is H5P. For those curious around how that works, essentially we've integrated H5P into the Lorry editing experience. You don't need to close Lorry to edit them or to create them. You don't need to leave Canvas to edit or create them. Take the embed code and then paste them in. So you can go ahead from this view, launch the H5P hub, select and create your interactives, and they will then appear for you under the My H5P interactive elements. You can then simply select them and add them wherever you like on a page. So this is one that I've pre-built there just to showcase that workflow. So that's a H5P interactive, and these two down here are Lorry customizable interactives. Now you're probably wondering, okay, value, yes, okay, hopefully that's what you're thinking, but I've not yet shown you how to save this back to Canvas, and that happens with one simple click. There is a button along the bottom, along with saving templates and blocks. You've got here save to LMS, so all you need to do is hit that button. You'll get a notification that lets you know it's happening and it's done, which is what you want to see. And again, at the top of the editor here, you'll always be presented with the page you're editing for that clear point of reference. We're going to head on over to that page. open it in my new tab, and you can see that that template has been embedded. My menus, my changes of adding the 6th additional item. You can see my hotspot here has been embedded. Wonderful, beautiful. My duplication and then flip and new image, and my interactives here. The real awesome thing about all of this, I touched on it before, responsiveness, but you probably want to see it for yourself. As I scale, everything is responsive. So your columns will fall in line, your interactives will be responsive, your menu items will also fall in line, and you can have a look at some of those Lorry interactives there as well, also responsive and will scale accordingly for mobile and tablet devices. Now, I promised up front that I would leave a couple of minutes for Q&A. That takes us to the end of the demonstration portion of the application, but I'm really hoping that there is some value that you can see there as course designers and as educators to help streamline your workflows and deliver that consistent, interactive, engaging experience. I'm going to go ahead and stop share here and take us on back to the last slide and have a look at some questions, if there were any questions.
Thank you, Adina, for that highly informative session. If you'd like to learn more about Lorry or would like to discuss how Lorry can support your organization, feel free to reach out in the chat or email presales@crystaldelta.com. As Adina mentioned, we're now going to head into the questions section of this webinar. So please feel free to add any questions you may have in the chat box, and we'll go through them within the time remaining. Also, for those of you who have attended this session, you will be added into the draw to win your educational institute a 1-year license to Lorry Course Designer. So Adina, we've had a couple of questions come in. The first one, does H5P work with Lorry if we have our own H5P?
That is a really great question. It depends in a nutshell if you're using the .org or the .com account, depending on what your profile is. But essentially right now, if you've already started your own H5P journey, you would continue down that path, but you could still utilize Lorry's own embed URL block, which I didn't showcase today, but you may have seen in the left-hand menu, to embed your external H5P content direct into other pages and templates, and then still save it as a template. So you've got that workflow available to you.
Fantastic. We've had a second question. I work for a system with a large student body. Does that drive the price or cost of Lorry up?
No, so Lorry is priced based essentially on 3 tiers, and those tiers are based on the designers. So those individuals that will actually be launching Lorry and editing course content, be it course designers, teachers, sessional staff, what have you. It is not based on the number of students at an organization.
Excellent. And just one last one. Does it work with LTI 1.3 version?
Yes, Lorry has been built in accordance with LTI 1.3. So it is an LTI 1.3 application.
Fantastic. Excellent. Well, that concludes our webinar.